are presently living.
But you have to move. To be specific, you can't be mobile if you're not moving, right? So wherever you are, in order to be mobile, you've got to move. And so for whatever reason, people may stay where they are. Maybe they're forced to stay where they are. Maybe they're comfortable where they are. It could be one of those two realities, but in order for you to have some sort of mobility, you've got to move, right? So that's what I meant.
So do you mean moving physically or moving economically, moving?
I think moving paradigmatically. I think it's I need to move my mind.
Come through and explain this.
I need to no seriously. I think I need to move my mind.
Okay.
First, I think I can give somebody an opportunity, but if their mind isn't ready to receive that opportunity, then I'm wasting the opportunity, right? So I believe that it's a mind change first,
Okay.
A perception change first, and then at which point you can be open to more opportunities, or finding them at least.
Okay. All right, cool. So we're going to bring in a friend of ours.
Yes.
All right. KJ, ready to come through? All right, so Curtin, I asked Brandon this question earlier, and I want to pose it to you. What does social mobility mean to you?
To me, I feel like social mobility is the opportunity and the ability to branch out, experience other cultures, glean from them, understand them, and better understand yourself, your own culture. I feel like most of our community they're not afforded that opportunity or that ability, and a lot of times get stuck in their community and get stuck in what they see around them. I was fortunate to experience social mobility to a certain extent. My parents both being pastors, always had to move from church to church. So a lot of times I would be in a community, I would get comfortable, I would make friends, and then we'd have to up and move. At one point, my mom went back to school, and we had to up and move to New Jersey. And we moved to the whitest part of New Jersey. So it was like a culture shock at first, but I'm glad it happened because it gave me a different lens to look at the world. And it allowed me to see all of the opportunities and all of the privileges that they are afforded that we're not afforded in the hood or our ethnic neighborhoods. So
I would have to say yes and no. I'm kind of in between because I feel like my profession has definitely given me the ability to have access to certain things that I'm sure other people may not have access to. However, I still feel like for some reason I cannot afford to live in Brooklyn. So I definitely, appreciate what I do, and it has helped me. It's benefited me, but it doesn't seem like or feel like enough sometimes.
Thus far, you've experienced Brooklyn as far as the culture is concerned.
Yeah.
And as far as just what it brings certain joys to you.
Mm-hmm.
But now you mentioned not enough for.
I guess not enough to maintain, because Brooklyn is changing, and it has changed a lot from the Brooklyn that we grew up in. And there's this like running joke online that says that us as adults, we're not paying our parents' bills. And I feel like it's so true. Like, rent was not this expensive when I was a child. Things were not this expensive. I remember my grandmother saying things to the effect of when she first came to this country, how cheap the bus was. And now I feel like I sound like my grandmother. Like, when I was in high school, the bus was $150. And now it's $275. It's just crazy. It just feels like things are not feasible. If it feels tight for me, I can't imagine how it feels for other people. And I feel like I make pretty good money. So if things feel tight for me, I could only imagine how people that make less must feel living or trying to live and maintain in the city. So I think that's what I mean when I say I feel like I don't know sometimes.
That's good. Have you heard of the term buppy?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Have you guys heard of the term buppy?
Yeah,
I've
I've heard of that.
Hearing the definition of a buppy, would you consider yourself?
I mean, if that's the definition, then yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Would you consider yourself a buppy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
How about you, Curtin?
I mean, if that's the specific definition, I would say yes.
Yes. Okay.
I feel like we're puppies.
Speak for yourself.
I feel like we're puppies. We have a balcony.
Or a veranda.
A veranda,
Veranda.
as I like to call it. We have a veranda with a swing chair on it. We're puppies.
For us, it's like it's a sense of accomplishment. Like we would be we lived on 94th and Rutland before, just a regular old apartment building, and we'll walk around, we'll see the new buildings being built, see balconies, like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that, and we'll be saving, make job changes in order to accommodate that. And I feel like, we were able to get that. So it means, in terms of an accomplishment, in terms of what we wanted, what we desired, I feel like that's what it represents us.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I remember when this building that we live in right now was being built, because Utica Avenue is right there, and I would just be walking to Utica to go to catch the bus or to go to Rite Aid or just do whatever on Utica. And I remember this was just like a hole in the ground, and I was like, oh, I wonder what they building over here. And then I seen them building stuff, so I'm like, okay, it's an apartment building that I seen they was putting balconies on it. I was like, oh, I remember coming home like, Corey, they built a building with balconies in Crown Heights. I was so excited. And I just felt like, oh, I want to live there. I want to live there. And when our lease was up, that's when they had really started moving people in. So we were like, I don't know, maybe one of the fifth people to move into this building. Like, there was really no one living in here when we first moved in. The building opened in September, I think. And then we might have moved in October. It might have opened like August, September, in the summertime. I remember it was very, very new. But it was, so I guess it just is like a feeling of accomplishment, because you see them building up Brooklyn, and I feel like the people that are from Brooklyn aren't able to benefit from the things that are being put in Brooklyn. And I just wanted to, I felt like I wanted to benefit from the new buildings and the new things that are coming into our area. Like, I don't want to just be looking at it, admiring it. Like, I want to live there.
Have you heard of gentrification?
Yes. The G word.
The G word.
When you have a group of people of a certain demographic coming into an environment where they change the face or the culture of the environment. Instead of assimilating, they now say, no, that's not good enough, or no, that's not what we want. We need to change the face. We need to change the scope of this specific area.
Oh, do you know what gentrification is? What the term? What does it mean?
It's an evil word. Evil.
I didn't tell you to say that. But hey, some people do believe it's a taboo word.
Yes.
So what does gentrification mean to you?
You tell you.
Gentrification to me, I can't even say it. Gentrification to me is, let's say a community or a group of people that they have access to, more, or let's say more money, and they're able to move to an area that's not as, well off or so on, and build it up to me. So, like the money is being invested in that area. And then the area that was, native to, let's say, people who were of a certain economic line, eventually they can't afford to live in that because of the property value and everything rising.
Gentrification.
Ooh, you just cursed.
Pardon me.
Gentrification there's this lady by the name of Ruth Glass. She was a sociologist in England. She coined the term gentrification. And it wasn't a racial thing. It was literally an economic thing, where one community saw people who were traditionally a part of that community being pushed out, sort of as a result of new people who aren't historically from that neighborhood coming in, right? And because prices are going up, people who were from there can't afford to buy there, right? And I think it took on this connotation of more racial, particularly here in America, because that's just our history, right? So richer people tend to be white, and black people tend to be, or blacker and browner people tend to be poorer.
So generally, it is a group of people who will come into low-income areas that are dilapidated or degraded, and it needs rehabilitation. And what they would then do is come in and add some more supermarkets or some more schools or some more buildings, residential areas or more apartment buildings, and that's where the upgrade comes in. But with the upgrade comes an influx of other people. So can gentrification happen within the race? And can it happen within the community, between one race?
Yeah. Now, are you asking, are there benefits to gentrification in general? Is that what you're saying? Or
are there benefits to gentrification, or does there have to be a gentry? Does there have to be some people move out, some people move in? Can we all live together?
I think yes and no. I think it all depends on resources, right? So since the dawn of civilization and people, creating communities and cities and states and countries, it's been the battle. We fight because of resources. Who can get how much resources? What resources can you get? I don't want this resource. You can't have this resource. Nuclear, like all of this stuff is all about resources, right? So how can we share resources? Can we share resources? Are people willing to share resources? Are people even willing to share the resources? Unfortunately, the answer in most cases is no. That's why you'll find, what I find, you probably see this a lot too, where gentrifiers are coming into a neighborhood where a historically black church has been forever, and they may have choir rehearsal or a late evening Sunday service that gets a little raucous, and the wind moves, comes on in, and it gets a little loud, and then the police are called because there's a noise issue. When 10 years ago, this is regular. Like, nobody's calling the cops on the church for having service and the music being too loud, but it's all about resources. This is a resource of silence, of quiet. Quietness is a resource. How do we share that, right? So, like, those are the issues that are coming. And then now, when that happens, it may sound insignificant, but it's a clash of two cultures, a clash of two ideologies that's happening. War is happening, right, on a very basic level, but they don't understand having church till 11 o'clock at night. If you're not from this area, if you're not from this religion, if you're not from this experience, I don't understand why y'all screaming, like, what? They don't understand that. So
I don't think gentrification is exclusive to race. I really don't think it's a race thing. I think it's more of, displacing people of the community and and then not coming into their community and acclimating to their community. So you come in to a community that is not familiar to you because, you want to live there, it's up and coming, and now you're complaining about the icy lady and her bell. That's annoying to you. You oh God, this icy lady every day with her bell. When to the community, that's a sign of you running outside to the icy lady. Like, yay, she's here. But that's how I look at it. I don't think it's exclusive to race. I think it's when people move into a community, they displace people of the community, and they try to change the dynamics of that community as opposed to learning the new environment that you live in because you moved in there, Yeah.
Do you believe gentrification can happen within the same race?
It's possible. Yeah, I would say so.
How so?
I think that kind of ties into the social mobility, where you might have a group of, I would say black and brown, up and coming professionals who want to change the face of the community. and they have the means to do so. So yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's more of an economic status type thing. So even if you're within the same race and you're a group of people of a certain economic status and they're a group of people that's living here of a certain economic status and you do the same thing, you displace those people, it's still gentrification to me.
Slowly but surely, I know it's gonna happen. Literally, I think right around the corner on Lenox, there is a new Jewish couple with their kids.
There's a little eye roll there.
Because it was so strange. It was very random. One day during the summer, usually we have the fire hydrant open, and cars would drive by slowly to get their little free car wash.
Yeah.
And these people came and they were having their own body wash right by the hydrant. I'm like, wait, where are they coming from? Like, what's happening? And I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And then I think a few weeks after, I'm driving, turning the car on Lenox, and I'm like, wait, they live there. What? So yeah, they're coming back.
Like we spoke about the culture of the area. So there's certain things that, the blasting of the music, that we grew up with. Like, that's something that's, it became innate to us. Like, it doesn't bother us. Right. Whereas, a different group of people will feel that, oh, what is this, like this is not something they're accustomed to. This is not, they didn't grow up with this. And I feel like I try to make it a habit, that even though, I'll say I'm in a quote unquote gentrified building now, that they know what soca is. they know how reggae sound, and they know the vibe. They'll be forced to acclimate to it because that's what the whole community is.
Right.
So.
Nice. Like my cousin's father, he owned a barbershop for years, him and his brother owned a barbershop. That barbershop is no longer there. I think it's a gym. I think they opened up right across the street this new building where the rent is astronomically high, and at the bottom on the ground level it's a workout fitness center. Yeah. So it's happening, but not as fast as maybe other areas.
Yeah. How do you feel about it? How is it affecting you?
My rent.
The
Yeah.
rent. I will also say, I feel like I don't want to. Can I just say gentrifiers? I feel like gentrifiers are not neighborly. Like the building that we lived in on 94th and Rutland, people would hold the door for you, say good morning, say good afternoon, say good evening. The building always smelled nice, like curry and fried fish. It was that feeling of like home that we spoke about earlier. And although it was an older building and it didn't have a veranda, but it was sweet. It felt sweet living there. But we knew we needed more space, and we also wanted to kind of reap the benefits, like we said, of the way the area was up and coming. But like in this building, it feels cold sometimes. Like you'll be on the elevator with someone and they are like literally avoiding eye contact with you. And Corey is a little friendlier than me. So he greets people and he says good morning, and they will not respond. And I think it's so rude.
And then that ruins the good morning for whoever
everybody else.
So.
And me, I'm kind of like, because it's just, ew. That's just so, it's not nice.
Honestly, it actually infuriates me. So like I was telling you, there's on Clarkson, there's a new building that went up with the workout fitness center on the ground floor. So a cousin of mine was looking to move out on her own, and she went to the building to find out information about it, and the price or the cost of rent was ridiculous. So the people in the community can't afford to pay that type of rent.
What was the cost about?
I would say for a one bedroom, maybe $1,900 a month. Some people don't see $1,900 every 2 weeks. You understand? Like
Yeah.
they don't see that type of money. So why would you put a place like that, or why would you put that type of infrastructure in the community where you know the people can't afford it? You know what your plans are. It's not for these people. It's for someone else to move in. There's people in the community who are like diehard East Flatbush fans. Like they won't go anywhere else in Brooklyn. My father being one of them. You know, we've asked him, you know, a few times, if you had to move out of this neighborhood, where would you go? Hands down, every time he says he's not going anywhere. And he's been in East Flatbush before I was born, so over 30 years. He's not going to any other neighborhood. So thank God he owns, you know, the building. But if he didn't own it, he was renting, what would happen to people like him? And I know if it's not just him. There's an influx of people with that same mindset.
So for me, you know, like being from the sty, I feel like I actually saw the transition from the sty. I still boil in the sty every weekend at the Y. And the Y is right there, you know, on Bedford and Gates. And Grimy Gates, that's what we used to call it. Grimy Gates ain't grimy no more. Like, you know, it's nothing but beautiful $1 million houses. And, you know, granted it looks nice, I don't see my people in those $1 million houses. Like there's a shift in terms of like, you know, being the gym being the center of the community, you see the whole dynamic of the gym change. Like, you know, you see, you know, more white ballers than, you know, you used to see before. And I just, you know, that's one thing that, you know, although you benefit, like in terms of, you know, seeing the nice, you know, place, you know, seeing money being invested in your community, it will feel a lot different if if the original community got to benefit from that.
9 years, and you're working in the Bedford-Stuyvesant area. What was that transition like? Because Bed-Stuy is definitely transitioning.
So I work actually where I went to high school. So where there were corner stores and bodegas and, you know, just what Bed-Stuy used to look like. Looking at it now, it's totally different. Most of the bodegas and corner stores are gone. They have condominiums and art galleries, and there's coffee shops, places where we were told not to walk or be careful walking, i.e. Franklin Avenue or even Nostrand Avenue. You know, be careful. Fulton, those places are, you know, definitely changed.
Can I tell a story?
Sure.
So the other night we were in the sty on Franklin and Fulton. Franklin and Fulton, which is the epicenter of the sty, if you know Bed-Stuy. And we were walking down Franklin, and I just kind of, probably on purpose, I peeked into this little, I guess you could call it a pub or whatever it was, I don't know. I'm calling it a pub. And there were nothing but white people in their pub. And there were a group of white people also standing outside. And it's just like, wow, on Franklin and Fulton, there's no black people in that venue. I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it because I remember I worked when I was like 15 years old on Gates and Marcy at the PAL. So I used to walk that